Good afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV, here to bring you an update on the former Prince Andrew story. He has now been released under investigation after being arrested earlier today by British police on suspicion of misconduct in office related to his ties with Jeffrey Epstein. So we're going to get you up to date on the former Prince Andrew story. There's some new reporting about Iran. Again, it is being reported that the U.S. could be striking Iran within days. The U.S. could launch an attack on Iran within days. So we're going to have more on that for you. And also, President Trump is supposed to speak in a little bit from Georgia. I don't know exactly when that's going to start. I mean, there's a schedule, but often that kind of thing starts late. So I am planning on showing you what President Trump has to say when he speaks in Georgia. I mean, I think technically it was supposed to start at 4 Eastern, but I wouldn't be surprised if it starts late. I believe I'll have footage of that, by the way. I hope I have footage of it. But we will... We are going to bring you live coverage, and we're going to be taking your comments on these stories. So we'll have to see what happens with all these things. But again, Prince Andrew we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Iran. We're going to watch Trump speak, and let's see what happens. Let's get into it and take your comments on the air. All right. I appreciate everybody being here. And hey, thanks to our moderators. We have Ruth moderating and Leslie Ladyhawk and Roberts Mayqueen over there on YouTube. Cynthia Moon is moderating as well. Thank you. By the way, we do have a live shot. Since there's UK news, we have a live shot involving the royals. We have a live shot of Buckingham Palace I can show you. Buckingham Palace. Hold on. Let's go to the live shot of Buckingham Palace. Let me get that up on the screen while I'm thanking the moderators. I have it right here. Look, live. We don't often have that. Okay, so thanks to our YouTube moderators. Also, I want to thank our Twitch moderators. Hang on a moment here. There's another live shot which is pretty dark of a different location. We have Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, and Matthew Kohai 3 moderating on Twitch. Thank you. Hey, thanks Meat Missile for the gift sub on Twitch. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha moderating for us on X. Thank you. They moderate for us on X. Our viewer Trey is in England, Trey UK. Also, thanks to our Facebook moderators. One moment here. Margaret Riley is moderating. Thank you, Margaret. Hey, thanks Sharon Klassen Gosselin and Kristen McConnell Gates for subscribing. And Susan Priest Buchner over there on Facebook. And all of our other moderators. Sorry if I missed anyone. We got a bunch of viewers from the UK. Rent-A-Ghost is from the UK. Debbie James in the UK. Brenda Blinks in the UK. Bunch of UK viewers. We're going to go over everything. I just want to give you this update that the police posted. Police did not actually post his name in these statements. I guess there's a legal reason why they're not allowed to do that, I believe. Yes, per national guidance or legal regulations. So, but if you see here, it says right here, this was, I believe, about an hour ago. The police said Thames Valley Police is able to provide an update in relation to an investigation into the offense of misconduct in public office. On Thursday, we arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk, this is former Prince Andrew, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrested man has now been released under investigation. We can confirm that our searches in Norfolk have now concluded. Our searches in Berkshire are still underway. Thames Valley Police will not be making any further statement at this time and will not be holding a press conference or conducting any media interviews in relation to this investigation. One of our viewers said, remember to keep saying allegedly. Yeah, I haven't said he's been convicted of anything. I've told you that he was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and he has been released under investigation. So we're going to have more on this. I'm going to be taking your comments on this. And again, reportedly, this is related to his ties with Jeffrey Epstein. I've seen some reports suggesting it could involve possibly allegations of sending classified material to Jeffrey Epstein. But I don't believe police have released exactly what the allegations are yet. I don't believe, but I got to check on this. And I want to also mention something else. Before we get into all that, I also wanted to mention, give me one moment here. Where is it here? I was just going to show you something. There's a lot going on. Hang on. And we got to take your comments too. We're just starting out here. Yeah, so some of our viewers are mentioning Trump saying 10 days. Now remember, I think it was, if I remember this right, when the U.S. attacked Iran, the Iranian nuclear facilities, when President Trump ordered that attack months ago, that was last year, I believe. President Trump, if I remember right, had said something like that they had like some sort of 2 weeks to negotiate or something like that, or it's going to be some sort of 2-week thing. And then within days, the attack happened. So you can see here, Reuters says, Trump presses Iran to make meaningful deal, appears to set 10-day deadline. Some of our viewers mentioned this. President Trump warned Iran today it must reach a deal over its nuclear program or bad things will happen, and appeared to set a 10-day deadline before the U.S. might take action. I mean, who knows about that? We're going to get into that more. But the thing with the 2 weeks, hold on, Trump 2 weeks. If I remember the story right, I have to look it up to get it exactly right. Hold on. I'm just looking it up, so I don't want to mislead you. I'm looking it up right now. Yes, so wasn't it, it was June 19th, I believe, that he told, that he said there was a 2-week, he was going to give himself 2 weeks to decide whether the U.S. was going to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. And then 2 days later, the attack happened. I believe that's what happened. All right, anyways, we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that. All right. So, I want to take your comments on the air, and we're going to talk more about these stories. And I got to keep an eye because President Trump is going to be speaking at some point, and I want to show you that. He's going to be speaking on the economy, but he could speak on Iran too while he's talking. So, all right. So, get ready. We're going to get into everything. We're going to take your comment on the air. But first, the one thing we got to do first, this is a sponsored broadcast. Oh my gosh, we have a new sponsor today. A new sponsor today. They're called Tax Network USA. Thanks for sponsoring. So before we get into everything, a quick word from me about our sponsor. And then after this quick word from me about our sponsor, we're going to get into all the stories and get your comments on the air. Hang on a moment. Do you owe back taxes or haven't filed in years? If the answer is yes, the IRS could take your wages, bank accounts, and more. If you want to avoid this, you can get help resolving your tax matters with Tax Network USA. Tax Network USA is a tax resolution firm that specializes in resolving and reducing IRS tax issues. They've helped many clients reduce their tax liability and penalties. Their powerful programs and strategies could save you thousands or even eliminate your debt entirely if you qualify. And right now, Tax Network USA is offering a completely free IRS research and discovery call to show you exactly where you stand and how they might be able to help. So if you're interested, give them a call, 1-800-958-1000, or find them on the web at tnusa.com/AFTV. Don't let the IRS be the first to act. Get protected with Tax Network USA and start the process on settling your tax matters once and for all today. All right, let's get into the Andrew story. I want to take your comments on the air. We're going to give you updates. As we mentioned, as many of you have mentioned, and as we read you the police statement, former Prince Andrew has been released under investigation. He's been released under investigation. So let's get into it. I want to hear from you. And I am keeping an eye out for President Trump speaking, but I don't believe he is speaking yet. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. I don't even know if he's arrived in Georgia yet, Trump. He's visiting. Trump is supposed to visit a local business in Georgia. I don't know that I'll have. I don't think I'll have coverage of that though. I should have coverage of him speaking. Okay, getting into the Andrew story. Here we go. King Charles' brother Andrew released after arrest over misconduct relating to Epstein. That's one headline. That's the Reuters headline. You can see right here. They say King Charles's younger brother, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, was released from police custody on this evening after being arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office over allegations he sent confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. Again, Reuters says over allegations he sent confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. A former Prince Andrew, who turned 66 on Thursday, had been questioned all day by detectives from Thames Valley Police. Earlier this month, the police force said it was looking into allegations that Andrew had passed documents to the late convicted sex offender while working as a trade envoy. The arrest of the senior royal, eighth in line to the throne, is unprecedented in modern times. King Charles said in a statement, I can read you this, but do I have the post from King Charles? Hold on, let me just see this here. I forgot to pull this up before. Hold on. I like to show you the actual statement on their letterhead. Is it here? Maybe I'll have to find it. I don't want to pause too much to show it. Ooh, right here. I have it right here. I got it right here. Here it is. Oh, no, that's not it. I thought I had it here. Anyways, I'll try to get you the actual page with the statement on it in a second. But King Charles said about this, said about the arrest of his brother. He said, I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor and suspicion of misconduct in public office. A Reuters witness saw Prince Andrew leaving a police station in Aylsham, Eastern England, where he was met by a small group of photographers and television crews just after 1900 hours GMT. A Reuters photograph taken after his release shows him seated inside a car, appearing visibly shaken. Do they have that in this article? Oh, I have it right here. Look, I'm going to show you the photograph, the Reuters photos of him. Here, I want to get them big on the screen. They have posted their photos of him after he left the police station. They say he looks visibly shaken. Hold on, I'm pulling these up right now for you. If I can. Here, I'm pulling it up right now, right here. This is it. Oh my gosh, there's two of them. There's two photos of him. Wow, one's a close-up. And the caption is, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, younger brother of Prince King Charles, formerly known as Prince Andrew, leaves the Elisham police station in a vehicle on the day he was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Okay, here is the picture. Look at the Reuters picture, guys. Here it is. Hold on. You can't see it yet. You'll see it in a second. You will see it in 1 second. I had to do this. Here is the picture from Reuters of Prince Andrew. There he is. Look, there is former Prince Andrew, and there it is. His eyes are not actually red, but that's just the camera flash, I believe. But there is the picture that Reuters took upon him leaving the police station. They say he looks visibly shaken. Okay. So I want to take some comments from you. Sorry, I've been trying to give you some updates here. Just wanted to get on the table what was going on. Our viewer SN says the monarchy knew this was coming. Cayenne Horn mentioned something about Iran and UK bases. We'll talk about that later when we're talking about that story. Thanks for Cayenne for posting that comment. Leon Don't Care says, wonder if he will flee the country. Eric Northern says, remember when it was all just a conspiracy theory? Again, that is the Reuters photo of Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew, after leaving the police station. Jelly Plain says, like he's seen a ghost. One of our viewers said he looks scared. Cheryl, hold on. Cheryl, your name flew past. Cheryl Simpson. Swoop Loop said, me when I'm facing the consequences of my actions. The Lady Lucas says, Prince Andrew looks chopped. Oh, did I read the comment wrong? I might have read the comment, one person's comment wrong. Where's that one? No, I read it correctly. Ben Van says, if this can happen to the king's brother, what's going to happen to both Bills? One of our viewers said, no one will come to help him this time. Humpty Dumpty thinks he looks like a guy who's been caught betraying his country. BBC had a photo too. I can't remember if I mean, this is a Reuters photo. I think BBC had a similar photo. But this is the Reuters photo. One of our viewers said he's realizing it wasn't worth it. All right, let me, while I have this up, let me just read you a little more of that Reuters report. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull this up. I'm going to keep the photo up, though. Hang on. Here is this photo. Give me a moment. Give me a moment here. Oops. Oh, I have a little video here I'm going to play too. Let's play the video first, then we're going to give you some more, couple videos here. I'm going to play the videos, then I'm going to give you a little more detail on this, take some more comments from you guys. But again, he has been released under investigation. He's been released under investigation. One of our viewers said, birthday celebration on hold. All right, here is, one moment here. Where is, there it is. Let me show you the video real quick, a couple videos. Again, you can see here, King Charles's brother, Andrew, released after arrest over misconduct relating to Epstein. Now here is one of the videos. I have two of them. Which one is this one? Let's try this one. Well, give me 1 second. I want to get it on the screen here. I don't know if this has audio or just video on it, this one coming up. Oops. Here. So you can see the video here. Let's make it a little bigger for you. There we go. Okay. Move it up a little bit. Police remain outside former Prince Andrew's residence. Norfolk, England. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein. This is from earlier today. Police remain outside former Prince Andrew's residence after his arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Sorry, so I just wanted to show you this part. Then there's another video too. Rock says, didn't he pay off one of the victims? I believe there was a settlement several years ago that I believe, if I remember right, there was a settlement without him admitting wrongdoing. I'll have to look that up. Hang on. Let me play you this other one here. No, I played you that one. Oh, this is, I guess, interviews with Londoners from Reuters. Let's check this out.
It's just, I suppose, a sign of the world we live in, where power has no responsibility, no ethics. And I mean, he comes from a background of corruption, being above the law.
I think it's only because the public's probably put pressure on, and the media's put pressure on to have him questioned. But he'll probably disappear to some country where he won't be extradited.
I'm a royalist myself. I do follow the royal family, and I do support them. So hearing that from a member of the royal family is really, you know, it's the last straw, isn't it, really?
I thought he'd go into hiding and get away with it. Yeah, so, no, that's all I've got to say, really. I'm pleased.
Those were some Londoners. You can see it says, Andrew faces allegations he sent confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. I haven't heard this. When I've been, the reading I've done on this, it doesn't say that, like, he wasn't, my understanding is that the alleged misconduct, the suspicion of misconduct in public office involves, from what I've seen, something like this. Allegations he sent confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. I believe that's what the arrest is supposed to be about, not about, say, you know, involvement with, well, actually, I want to take that back. I know about that. I would just, but It's so that's again the allegation is what he's being investigated for is misconduct in public office specifically. But again, I don't believe, I have to see, I don't know that it's been specifically said. I haven't seen it. What exactly, he's under investigation right now. So he hasn't been charged with a crime yet, I'll say that. So we'll see if he is. He has always denied wrongdoing in relation to Epstein, and his office did not respond to a request for comment. And let me just go back to that photo of him Reuters took. He was released late today from the police station. And we have the photo here, again, for you, via Reuters. Reuters says that although Buckingham Palace was not informed in advance about the arrest, King Charles, the brother of former Prince Andrew, said the authorities had the family's full and wholehearted support and cooperation. King Charles, in his statement, said, "Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty to service you all." He said, "Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all." The king visited a fashion show in London today, making no further public comment. Andrew who is the second son of the late Queen Elizabeth, has always denied any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein and said he regrets their friendship, says Reuters. Andrew has not been seen publicly, although I guess maybe this is being seen publicly right here. But before this, Andrew had not been seen publicly since the release of more than 3 million pages of documents by the U.S. government related to Epstein, who was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor in 2008. Those Epstein files that were recently released suggested that former Prince Andrew had in 2010 forwarded to Jeffrey Epstein reports about Vietnam, Singapore, and other places he had visited on official trips as the government's special representative for trade and investment. Andrew was forced to step down from that role in 2011 after his close links to Epstein first emerged. Again, the Thames Valley Police said, following a thorough assessment, we have now opened an investigation into this allegation of misconduct in public office. We understand the significant public interest in this case, and we will provide updates at the appropriate time, they said. Reuters also says the arrest marks a new low for the former prince, who was forced to quit all royal duties in 2019 over his ties with Epstein, and then was stripped by his older brother of his titles and his honors last October amid further revelations about the Andrew Epstein relationship. Wow. Our viewer, Duchess Terra Reyes Amor, says the Queen would be rolling in her grave. Let's see. E. Torres says 2011, now investigating? What a joke. Our viewer, Lisa B, says all this speculation, Tata says, is Bill getting arrested next? Val Cargo says, God save Prince William and Princess Catherine. Grace Katz thinks Andrew looks awful. Two Fans says, no kings, no masters. Metal Rain says he kind of looks sweaty. Our viewer Hot Richard says he betrayed his country by passing those those confidential documents to Epstein. That's what Hot Richard thinks. CHB says, I think he gets it now. Teresa Gregory says, he climbed a slippery slope and it's a long way down. Manchester is red forever thinks royalty should be abolished, waste of money. Let's do a quick check here. President Trump is supposed to speak at some point, but let me just make sure. I don't believe he's speaking yet. Wanted to show you that. No, he's not that I'm aware of. Okay. A little more about this today, about Andrew being arrested. Again, that is a photo taken by Reuters after his release. He was released under investigation. So that is a photo taken by Reuters of him as he was leaving after being released by police. Earlier, says Reuters, 6 unmarked police cars and around 8 plainclothes officers were pictured at Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate in eastern England, where Andrew now resides. Thames Valley police officers were also searching the mansion on the King's Windsor estate, where Andrew lived until he was forced out amid anger at the Epstein revelations. While being arrested means that police have reasonable suspicion that a crime has been committed and that the royal is suspected of involvement in an offense, it does not imply guilt. A conviction for misconduct in public office carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, and cases must be dealt with in a Crown Court, which deal with the most serious criminal offenses. Police have previously said misconduct in public office, which is a common law offense and is not covered by written statute legislation, involved particular complexities. One of our viewers had mentioned his settlement of a lawsuit. Here's a little more on that. In 2022, Andrew, former Prince Andrew, settled a civil lawsuit brought in the United States by the late Virginia Giuffre, who had accused him of sexually abusing her when she was a teenager at properties owned by Epstein or his associates. That was a settlement in 2022. And if I remember right, I have to look this up. Yeah, Wikipedia says that settlement was in 2022, and that civil case was dismissed by the party stipulation in 2022 without going to trial, and the settlement included, according to Wikipedia, the settlement included Andrew making a substantial donation to Virginia Giuffre's charity, and Giuffre's lawyers said the settlement does not in any way insulate him from criminal liability that would otherwise exist. Let's see here. And Wikipedia says, even though the amount of money set to be given by Andrew to Giuffre in the settlement has not been officially disclosed, the Daily Telegraph estimated it could be as high as £12 million, around $16 million, with the Queen partially funding it by giving £2 million to Giuffre's sex trafficking charity. The Prince of Wales, now King Charles III, was reported to have agreed to lending the bulk of money to Andrew, which he was required to pay back after selling his Swiss chalet. This is from the Wikipedia article about this. Okay, you could read more about that in Virginia Giuffre versus Prince Andrew on Wikipedia, which was a lawsuit filed in U.S. federal court and which did not go to trial because an out-of-court settlement was reached. Tatos thinks the Queen knew about Andrew and stood by him. That's what our viewer Tatos said. Yes, Virginia Giuffre, she, if I remember right, took her own life in April of last year. Do I have that right? Hold on a moment here. Yes, she took her own life in April of 2025. Oh, a little more perspective on this from Reuters. Yes, so Reuters says that the current investigation, the current police investigation, is not related to any allegation of sexual impropriety. Again, Reuters reports the current investigation is about allegations that former Prince Andrew passed documents to confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. If former Prince Andrew faces criminal charges, he would join a very small group of senior British royals who have formerly been accused of offenses. His elder sister, Princess Anne, was fined for speeding in 2001, and in 2002 she became the first royal to be convicted of a criminal offense in 350 years, when she appeared in court to plead guilty to failing to stop one of her dogs, named Dottie, biting 2 children. King Charles I was tried for treason in 1649 toward the end of the English Civil War, found guilty and beheaded. Also, I do want to mention, Reuters says the misconduct investigation is not the only accusation against former Prince Andrew into which police are looking. Anti-monarchy campaign group Republic has reported Andrew over allegations he was involved in the trafficking of a woman to Britain for sex in 2010. Thames Valley Police said it was assessing allegations that a woman had been taken to an address in Windsor where the former prince lived until recently. U.S. lawmakers have also said Andrew should testify before committees in the U.S. over what he knew about Epstein. Meanwhile, one other possible investigation he faces, former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown has also called for a police investigation into the extent of Epstein trafficking women without proper checks by the authorities through London's Stansted Airport, saying this had been overlooked by previous inquiries into former Prince Andrew. Essex Police said yesterday it was looking into the issue. Some of our viewers are questioning whether Virginia Giuffre took her own life last year. Just reading from the Wikipedia article, you can read their citations there, where they're getting this from. The Wikipedia article says Giuffre died by suicide at her home in Western Australia in April of last year at the age of 41. An investigation is ongoing according to authorities. Early indications show the death is not suspicious. That is from People magazine article that they quoted. On May 1st of last year, Virginia Giuffre's father rejected the alleged cause of death as suicide, telling Piers Morgan, "For them to say she committed suicide, there's no way she did," instead claiming somebody got to her. Giuffre's Australia-based attorney said she believed Giuffre's death was not suspicious in any way. Okay. All right, we got to take some more comments on this from you. All right. We've had that picture up there for a while. Let me, hold on a moment here. Put a different headline up. Take some more of your comments here. You can see the current Reuters headline is, former Prince Andrew arrested and held for hours on suspicion of misconduct over ties to Epstein. One of our viewers says, Darcy Swanson says Andrew has met his match. Snarl Manineru says cheap thrill culture. Penolta says anyone associated with a convicted pedo is gross. Darb's mom says the picture of former Prince Andrew is not how you want to look. Seed Music says Discovery is going to be great. Bastion Girl says, I love how they got the most unflattering picture ever, so it can be part of his legacy on the internet for eternity. Lex Blunted says, passing documents, it's a big problem. Sex with trafficked minors, not a big deal. What an awful message. Okay, where is, now President Trump, former President Trump, I was going to say former Prince Andrew, but I accidentally said to say, no, President Trump is the current president. Former Prince Andrew I was talking about. President Trump is supposed to be speaking in Rome, Georgia shortly, which I should be able to bring you, but that has not started yet. I got to keep an eye out, though. No, he has not started speaking. Hold on a moment here. Give me a moment. We're gonna show you President Trump when he speaks in Georgia. Maybe he'll speak on Iran, and we're gonna talk more about former Prince Andrew. Hey, maybe what we'll do. Well, how about? First of all, I got to thank some people. I'm so behind on thanking people. Maybe what we'll do right now. Why don't we? We can take a second and talk a little bit about the Iran situation and then come back and talk more about Prince Andrew. We can do that. But hold on, I do need to thank a couple people here. I apologize, I'm behind. Been trying to do so many things at once. Thank you so much to Kerry Poteet for the memberships, to our new members, Red Lane Academy, Frank V9525, William Daly, Debbie James, our member, Cynthia Moon, our member, and our moderator, Cynthia, thank you. PZ Wheats for the membership, thank you. Mosh Miri, our member. Medallion, our member. Tulula A. Bell, our member. Thanks, Troy S. for your support. Troy S. and I believe his wife watching. Rivka Spronk, our member. Thanks, Fred Witherow. For the memberships. It's very nice of you, Fred. Chris 1943, thanks Chris from Canada. Fred says, any reports of Queen Elizabeth culpability? I haven't heard any reports about that today. Thank you, Fred. Dad's Gone Live, who does live streaming. Thank you, Dad's Gone Live. Deadwing, thanks for being a member. Weasel Acres, Hell Wolf for Liberty. Weasel Acres says, that's it, no way I'm becoming a prince. Hellwolf says, eventful days coming up. And also, Fleshernet, thank you. President Trump, by the way, is arriving in Georgia, I believe now. I don't think I have the rights to that footage, but I should be able to bring you when he speaks. Let me just make sure here, hold on. But there's pool footage, which I don't own the rights to, of him arriving in Georgia. Oh, he's supposed to go visit a local business. But again, I don't believe I'll have the rights to that unless the White House posts it. But let me just check something here. Hold on. Give me one moment. Thanks for your patience. Need to just check this. Too much happening at once. Where is the... Here. Thanks, Miss Teddy, who said, when was the last time a UK royal was arrested? We got to that a few minutes ago. According, in terms of arrested, I don't know if we specifically talked about that. According to Reuters, they said that in their article, where is it here? They said that Princess Anne was fined for speeding in 2001 and was the first royal to be convicted of a criminal offense in 350 years. Although I don't know if she was technically arrested. So maybe it was a long, long time ago. I have to look this up. Thank you also, John NR 6GG from New Zealand. Kerry Poteet for the memberships. Thank you, Kerry, so much. Holmes Sherlock, thank you. Miss Teddy H3, thank you. And also, sorry, I got way behind on thanking anybody. It's totally my bad. All right, I think we're good to go here. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, President Trump is going to. He went to this place, the Varsity, which is like a burger place in it. Is that where he went? There's a famous the Varsity in Atlanta. I was there years ago. I didn't see it. I just saw a pool report about it. All right. Again, we're going to bring you President Trump speaking live from Rome, Georgia. That's not happening yet. So, okay. So, question. I want to talk some more about Prince Andrew, but should we do a quick update about Iran? What's going on with that? I told you we're covering a bunch of things. How about we do a quick update about Iran? And then we'll talk more about former Prince Andrew. I saw some new reporting. Let's do that. The Starter Girl says the Varsity sells hot dogs. It's awesome. People are saying let's do an update about that. I saw some new reporting today about Iran. So coming up, we will have President Trump's live remarks. Okay, here it is. I might have some graphics with this too. Oh, I got a couple graphics with this article. That's good. This is a Washington Post article, and it comes with some graphics. Where's the second graphic? Two graphics. Before I show you the article, let me show you this graphic. It says, there's Iran in the tan color, and it's showing locations of some of the U.S. Resources. U.S. Abraham Lincoln and 4 destroyers on the right here. The black squares are U.S. ships. Also, this doesn't even show, because it's off to the west, it doesn't show the second carrier group, which is approaching. But the black squares are all U.S. ships, and the circles, the dark circles, are military bases hosting aircraft, and the light circles are other bases. But there's more ships coming. All right, so the Washington Post actually has some new reporting. Hold on a moment. Give me a moment here. They have some new reporting I want to tell you about. Give me a moment. want to make sure I'm not missing something breaking here. All right, hang on. Here is this report. Check this out from the Post. It echoes, in a way, some of the reporting we saw in the last couple days. Okay, here. Trump appears ready to attack Iran as U.S. strike force takes shape. This is new this afternoon from the Washington Post. The Trump administration appears ready to launch an extended military assault on Iran, current and former U.S. officials said, as the Pentagon amasses an immense strike force in the Middle East despite the risks of U.S. combat fatalities and American ensnarement in an extended war. By the way, I'm going to change the headline right now because we're talking about this. Reports U.S. could attack Iran in the coming days. Just want to put that there so it's not confusing. And remember, a bunch of reports recently, including this one, talk about the possibility of an extended attack. Axios was reporting that it seemed likely that that there could be an attack by the U.S. that goes on for perhaps weeks. So again, the Trump administration appears ready to launch an extended military assault on Iran, current and former U.S. officials said, as the Pentagon amasses an immense strike force in the Middle East, despite the risks of U.S. combat fatalities and American ensnarement in an extended war. The arsenal, says the Washington Post, under assembly for weeks, is awaiting the arrival of the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford and its accompanying warships. Officials familiar with the matter said, after military leaders last week extended their deployment and ordered the ships to the region from the Caribbean Sea. The vessels were approaching the Strait of Gibraltar off the coast of Spain on Thursday, making an attack possible within days, said these people who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive military planning. So, a number of officials have been going to the media in recent days and talking about this. You know, you might perhaps think we've talked about this in the chat. You might think it's possible that some of our viewers, if I remember right, were thinking maybe this is this is being put out there by the Trump administration to try to get Iran to agree to a deal before an attack actually happens. I don't know. But these articles, in recent days, a lot of officials have been talking to different publications. President Trump, speaking this morning at an event in Washington, was ambiguous, unclear about what he might do. Maybe we're going to make a deal. Maybe not, said Trump at the inaugural meeting of his Board of Peace. You're going to be finding out over the next maybe 10 days. That's what he said this morning. You're going to be finding out over the next maybe 10 days. The administration wants it known, officials said, that they are building combat power in the region. The president has also publicly raised the possibility of toppling Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, a longtime U.S. adversary, suggesting last week that it would be the best thing that could happen if Iran ends up with new leaders. Still, and this report is similar to other reports that have recently come out, still it remains unclear whether Trump has approved military action, people familiar with the matter said. And as we talked about in our stream yesterday, one consideration some noted is the ongoing Winter Olympics, which conclude Sunday in Italy. The closing ceremony is Sunday in Italy for the Olympics. Also, I believe President Trump's State of the Union address is scheduled for Tuesday, although that could move. They're not going to move the Olympics. So some of you think that maybe Trump would wait until after the Olympics to do something. But again, the Olympics end Sunday. And I'm going to take some more. I'm going to take some of your comments right now, then get to some more of this. But again, multiple media outlets now reporting this could be an extended military campaign. Sydney says, our viewer, what happened to the talks? Thought they had been productive. It's Hassan says, no new wars, LOL. Stasha Morgan says, are we all sick of this constant state of chaos? George DC says, the attack most probably after the closing ceremony of the Winter Olympics. Anyway, it would be like that night that the Olympics would end, and then that night, hours later, the attack would start? Lori Murphy says, Trump is always cryptic on this stuff. Miss Teddy says, Iran will not give up their nukes, so a strike is imminent. William Wheel thinks Iran will not agree to a deal they never have in the past and will not now. I mean, there was a nuclear deal in the Obama administration, but William thinks it's not going to happen now. RJ for Freedom says, Trump said on an Air Force One today Iran had 10 to 15 days. Last time he said something like that, Midnight Hammer happened. I think it was 2 days after he said 2 weeks with Midnight Hammer. Metal Rain says he promised us $1 gas prices. I so wanted to see that. Boba says, who would have thought another Trump distraction? The 2012 man says 2 more weeks. What's the big deal? He says this year has felt like a century. All right, hang on a moment. I'm going to give you some more of that reporting. Let me just make sure. President Trump is not, I believe, speaking yet. Oh, hold on. Hold on a moment. Hold on a moment. So, President Trump could actually talk today about, Iran. So what I'm going to do right now is do this. He's not speaking yet, but he's going to speak soon. So while we're talking about Iran, let me get on the screen right now and show you this. Maybe I can have both things on the screen at once. Maybe I'll put this on the screen for right now. Hold on a second. We need this. Hold on. Get that. Here we go. Look, guys, look at this. Look, it says, we will begin shortly. President Trump delivers remarks on the economy, although who knows, he could talk about former Prince Andrew. He could talk about Iran. We'll have to see. Let me mention some more of this reporting today from the Washington Post. The Post says so they talked to a former ambassador to Israel and a former senior Pentagon official, same person, Daniel B. Shapiro. The Washington Post says the United States, backed by ally Israel, would have an overwhelming advantage militarily over Iran, said Daniel Shapiro. The warships in or nearing the Middle East join a sprawling array of combat power already in position, including dozens of fighter jets, air defense capabilities, and other weapons. But a major conflict with Iran poses grave risks, Shapiro said, including ballistic missiles capable of killing U.S. troops in the region, a network of proxy forces across the Middle East that could quickly turn any attack into a far wider and deadlier war, and the potential for significant disruption to maritime shipping and the global oil market. Again, Daniel Shapiro, former U.S. ambassador and former senior Pentagon official, said, he is with the Atlantic Council, Daniel Shapiro. He said, Iran will definitely take terrible damage from combined U.S.-Israeli strikes, but that doesn't mean that it ends quickly or clean, and Iran does have some ability to impose some costs in the other direction. The Washington Post also says regional diplomats initially thought that the Trump administration's military pressure on Iran was meant to push Tehran to offer greater concessions in the negotiations, according to a European diplomat that the Post talked to. But after the most recent talks concluded 2 days ago, diplomats now believe Iran is not prepared to budge from its core positions, including its right to enrich uranium. The European diplomat told the Washington Post the Iranians were planning to drown them in technicalities and delay substance. While a more traditional approach would have built on dialogue, Trump does not have the patience. The indications that the Trump administration is preparing for an extended conflict, says the Post, have become deeply concerning, said a European diplomat that the Washington Post talked to. The diplomat told the Washington Post some actors may have favored targeted strikes on Iran to add pressure on Iran. He's referring to countries like Saudi Arabia and said the diplomat, whether it's a he or she, is referring to countries like Saudi Arabia or the UAE. But the diplomat said an extended conflict will be bloody and it could bring more countries, either deliberately or by miscalculation, into the war. Wow. So again, this is not just this is the third. So the Axios has reported that they think it's likely. Oh, hold on, we have our video here. But multiple outlets have now reported that there could be an extended conflict, extended military campaign by the U.S. against Iran. Hey, look, Trump is about to speak. We're going to watch him speak. He's in Rome, Georgia, supposedly about the economy, but he could talk about other things as well, about Iran, about former Prince Andrew. He's coming out now. Now, I'm not going to play until he starts speaking because they're probably playing Proud to be an American. That's what I guess is happening right now. So I'll put the audio on in a second. This is in Rome, Georgia, if I have that right. Yes, he is in Rome, Georgia, but I can't play the copyrighted music. Hold on. Let me mute this and get the audio on here. I'll double check. Yeah, they're playing. Whoa, whoa, whoa! They're playing. I got a millisecond of it, but yes, they are playing the music. So we can't have the music on. Whoa, whoa! Why is it still on? I had it muted. All right, I got to mute it again. It's still on. It says muted. What's going on? Now it's muted. Man, wow! Got to be careful with that. President Trump is dancing to the song. The song is not over yet. We're going to check out what he has to say. Now, Trump speaks live in Georgia. Well, we don't need live. He is still singing along. He is singing along with it. He is singing along with it. Hold on. All right. He's about to start. Let me get the audio up. I just don't want to catch the music. Let's see here.
Very much. It's great to see a vibrant place like this. As you know, about a year and a half ago, it wasn't so vibrant. I'm looking at all this brand new steel and equipment that just went up because of our tariffs, because of our president, but because of our tariffs. And I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of Georgia with the men and women of an incredible American company, the Coosa Steel Corporation. For more than 50 years, the hardworking Americans at Coosa Steel have poured out their sweat and blood and tears to turn into what, look, you wanted to take raw material and you wanted to take beautiful metal and you wanted to turn it into the highest quality steel racks and plates in the business, all stamped with those really beautiful words. You don't see it too much, but now you do again, made in the USA. Right? And this company prospered and grew from humble beginnings in a Georgia manufacturing. What happened is you became, in a very short while, a Georgia manufacturing giant. But then you watch your core business start to fade. I just spoke to your great owner, and he's great, but he got hit by stupid politicians, basically, making specialized steel tire racks dwindle from 2 bustling shifts to 6 days a week down to 1 shift and 1 hour. 1 hour a week. Then you went back up to 2 days, then you went back to 3 days, then you went back to 1 day, then you went down to 1 hour. Because all the business was going to China and other countries from outside. And it wasn't only here, it was other plants also. I assume your friends, likewise, were having the same problem. Your jobs were being stolen as foreign nations dumped their subsidized products. Don't forget China and these other countries, they pay for it. It's all subsidized. You don't get too much subsidy. But they dropped the subsidized products on our market to try and put Americans out of business, and that's what they were doing. You're lucky you have a man that is so proud of this place. He kept it going, barely kept it going. It wasn't easy. You're a lucky guy. But now, thanks to the fact that we got elected on November 5th, and thanks to what I call the Trump tariffs, business at Coosa Steel is booming again. We just spoke, it's booming. And in October, you received your first large order for tire racks since 2014. It was a big, massive order. In fact, this great man right here thought that they made a mistake. He said it can't be possible. No, it's called tariffs. I said, my favorite word in the whole dictionary is tariff, and I got in trouble with, look at all the fake news back there. Look at them. I got in trouble. No, I got in trouble with them because I said, tariff is my favorite word in the whole dictionary. They said, what about family? What about God? What about wife, children? I said, all right, it's my 5th favorite word. Now I'm okay. They've treated me okay since I did that. They didn't like it but it's my 5th favorite word in the dictionary. You're back to producing at full speed, 2 shifts a day, and he's going to 3 shifts a day, 6 days a week. And you've got a backlog now that's 7 months long. What a difference. From a couple of hours a week to 7 months long. And it's all because you finally have a president who put America first. That's what it is. But it's also because I imposed powerful 50% tariffs on foreign steel where they were coming in and dumping crap all over our country. I ended every one of the Biden-era exemptions, and on August 18th, I added new tariffs to cover 400 derivative products, including steel racks, which is what you make. So I say congratulations, and what a great comeback. This is a comeback that 2 years ago, right, you were almost, I don't want to say out of business, but you're almost out of business. I guess he said you can say it. You were close. He was borderline. Started telling his wife, let's have tuna fish tonight, darling. Forget about the steak. But stories like this companies are right now playing out in cities all around the country, towns, villages, all over the country. And to think I have to be in the United States Supreme Court for many, many months, waiting for a decision on tariffs. Without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble right now. Without tariffs, this country would be like your company was 2 years ago. What a difference it made. And you know who brought the cases against us? People that are China-oriented, people that have business in China that want to rip us off and keep ripping us off, and the tariffs had stopped us. And not only China, other countries too. People from other countries like Canada and others, they sue us. Canada has ripped us off for years. Not anymore, they're not. And I'm waiting for a decision from the Supreme Court. Can you imagine? We have to wait. I mean, I just heard the story today, and I've told it 1,000 times. I don't think I've ever heard it any better. I even took him back to the fake news where he related the story, that he was in serious trouble. There was no business. There was no business anywhere. How was this place 2 or 3 years ago? It was not just here, the whole area. It was a disaster. And now it's vibrant. And we have to justify this because people come from other countries because they ripped us off for 50 years. And now we're doing the same thing to them. And we're being very modest about it. Right, Howard? We're being very modest about it. We could go a lot further if I want to. Because what they've done to us, other countries, what they've done, they almost put us out of business. And I'll tell you, if I didn't win this election, and if you had a moron like Kamala or a moron like Sleepy Joe Biden, if you had these people back, our country would have been finished. We wouldn't have had a country. So just yesterday, I was visited by the CEO of the drug company, Novartis, and his name is Vaz, first name, great guy. And he came into the White House to see our great chief of staff, who happens to be with us. Where's Susie? Susie's with us someplace. She is great. First female chief of staff and the best chief of staff. And she wanted to bring him in. It's a big, very big company, all based outside of this country. And she wanted to bring him in, so I said, come on. So I said, hello, how are you doing? How's it going? Sir, I'm building 11 plants in the United States. I said, that's a lot. How many do you have? None. But we're moving almost all our business into the United States. And I said, why are you doing that? Tariffs. Tariffs! Can you believe it? He said, tariffs. And I got to be before a court. Can you believe it? This is like men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody. I have a new one to add, voter ID. The Democrats don't want to give us voter ID because they want to cheat. The only way they can cheat is if they, look, we can stop them so easy. You know what they say? We don't want voter ID because it's racist. Okay? That's a good one. It's racist, no. I'll tell you what, when they look at the polls, 95% of the people want voter ID. Then you have proof of citizenship. So we want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. For you to vote, let's prove that you're an American. So please, proof of citizenship. They're fighting that. They're fighting that. And then we don't want to have mail-in ballots where they're mailed in from all parts of the place. Mail-in ballots are crooked as hell. We're the only country in the world that use this type of mail-in ballot, the only country in the world. I'll tell you what, Republicans have to win this one. We'll never lose a race. For 50 years, we won't lose a race. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. And we don't want mail-in ballots except for the military far away, except for people that are ill, disabled, or people that are away. Even for a vacation, we'll be generous, okay? Other than that, we don't want mail-in ballots because mail-in ballots, they cheat. Without tariffs, what would you do? You know what? Everybody would be bankrupt, everybody. The whole country would be bankrupt. And I have to wait for this decision. I've been waiting forever, forever. And the language is clear that I have the right to do it as president. I have the right to put tariffs on for national security purposes, countries that have been ripping us off For years, you know what they were doing? Using tariffs. What a country. So sad. So just 1 year ago, under crooked Joe Biden, and he was crooked as hell, our country was dead. Now we have the hottest country. In 1 year, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, right, Kelly? Remember when I used to say, Fuller sort of reminded me, I listened to your speech, very good. I'm endorsing that man, by the way, very strongly. I actually listened to your speech back there, and you said, you remember when the president used to tell the story about getting tired of winning? You reminded me, I haven't told that story in a long time. You're going to be so tired of winning, you're going to be exhausted, you're going to get tired of winning. Remember I say, your governor or Kelly Loeffler, somebody's going to come up and say, President, please, we're winning too much. We're not used to it. George is not used to it. We can't take it anymore. People are working too hard. They're making too much money. Please. We don't want to win anymore, sir. It's too much. I said, nope. We're going to keep on winning. The people of Georgia want to win. I'm sorry, Kelly. The people of Georgia want to win. Last week it was announced that the United States added 172,000 jobs in the private sector. We reduced in the, you know, if I wanted to have really great job numbers, don't do any cutting in the public sector. You know, I cut off 400,000 jobs in the public sector, and then I add many more than that in the private sector. And you know, those public sector people that got cut, they hated me and now they love me, because they've all gone out and gotten much better paying jobs in the private sector, working right here for you. But we've created more than 5,000 manufacturing jobs in Georgia alone. And we've had a very good relationship with Georgia. And as factory construction gets underway, we've created 70,000 new construction jobs right here, 70,000. And you know what they're building? Factories. Like this. I said to that brilliant person right there, I see the yellow steel. You know what that is? That's a crane, brand new. I said, how long has that been here? He said, about 2 months. He said, tariffs brought it here, sir. Your policy brought it here. So today, more Americans in the prime of their life are part of a labor force than at any time since 2001, and then you could go back another 25 years from that. And more Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that statement. Any time in the history of our country, there are more Americans working today. In 4 years, Sleepy Joe Biden got less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. So in 4 years, he got a lot less than $1 trillion. But with our pro-American economic growth and the use of tariffs, we've already secured commitments for over $18 trillion. So think of this. In 11 months, because we haven't even gotten to last month, in 11 months, we have $18 trillion worth of investment coming into this country. And here's an example of it. Nice family, by the way. That's better looking than your crane. I like the family better than the crane. Very good. But a good family. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election. 53, think of that. 53 days it was at an all-time record, adding $9 trillion in value. But you gotta go back for a second. So we do over 18 trillion in 11 months, and Sleepy Joe, for 4 years, did much less than $1 trillion. Think of that. This country would have been dead. Adding $9 trillion in value to your savings. I added $9 trillion, and your retirement accounts and 401ks are at the highest level they've ever been. And then I have to listen to the fake news talking about affordability. Affordability. Do you notice, what word have you not heard over the last 2 weeks? Affordability. Because I've won affordability. I had to go out and talk about it. But we inherited a mess. we inherited the worst inflation in history, but I'd like to correct it because it's actually, the fake news corrected me. He exaggerated. He said it was the worst inflation in history, and it's only 48 years. So I apologize for that, Kelly. I apologize. So it's the worst inflation in 48. Actually, I think they're wrong. I think it is actually in history. We had the worst inflation in history under Sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping while you were working. No, he was sleeping while you were trying to get a job. You weren't working. And now we have the most people working in history. And just recently we crossed 2 milestones. They thought it was totally impossible when the S&P hit 7,000 points and Dow Jones surged past 50,000. Again, I was supposed to do that within 4 years. They said he's got a small possibility. I don't know how many of you people watch the stock market, but if the stock market's good, that's good for everybody. That's good for you, good for everybody. But the stock market hit over 50,000 for the first time in history. They said maybe he might be. This is right after my election in November. They said, you know, Trump's a great businessman. He might be able to get 50,000 by the time his term finishes. No, we did it, Howard, in 1 year. 1 year. Under the last administration, every economic policy punished American workers and businesses like this one while rewarding those who outsource to foreign nations. Under the Trump administration, our policy is the exact opposite, making it harder to outsource while rewarding those who invest, hire, grow, and build right here in the USA. We don't have countries coming in and stealing our businesses anymore. They were coming in for many years. I had it stopped in my first term. We had a great first term. We had the greatest economic numbers we've ever had until now. But this term, I will say, it's blowing my first term away. We've slashed a record number of job-killing regulations, cutting 129 old regulations for every one new regulation approved. Think of that. So we approve one, and we cut 129. And what that means is jobs. That's all it means. We ended the radical left war in American energy. Now oil production is up by more than 600,000 barrels a day, and natural gas production is at an all-time high. Plus, we have a great relationship with a country named Venezuela. You've heard about Venezuela? And we're helping them very much with their oil. They get a lot of oil, we do too, but we're helping them a lot. We took 50 million barrels of oil is right now floating very nicely in extremely large ships to Houston, where it's processed. And it's going to be great for Venezuela. The president's doing an excellent job, getting along great. But that was a very strong attack, would you say? It was a very strong attack. That wasn't like Jimmy Carter. That wasn't like Sleepy Joe Biden in Afghanistan, where he had no idea, had no clue what he was doing. Take the equipment. You know, I was getting out of Afghanistan. We were going to get out with dignity, strength. They feared us, but we shouldn't have been there, frankly. But we were getting out with dignity and strength, taking all the equipment. He left the equipment. They said, leave everything. Let's go. I said, what do you mean? You're leaving a $150 million airplane? And one of the generals told me, that's when I knew he was a stupid general, Milley. Sir, it's better to leave the plane. I think it's cost efficient. You're going to leave a $150 million plane because you don't want to fill it up with a tank of gas? These people were so stupid. But now we have General Raisin Cane. He's a little different. A little different. He's a little different. I was told by my first administration, I had these generals, you know, what the hell, I never did it before, so I picked a couple of losers. But the first ones, they told me, sir, it'll take 4 years to defeat ISIS. And I said, how can it take 4 years? We have the best equipment in the world. Why? And I rebuilt the military my first time. I said, why would it take 4 years? They said, well, I would. So I decided to go to Iraq, and I flew to Iraq. I was extremely brave. In fact, so brave I wanted to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor. I said to my people, am I allowed to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? And, you know, I've given out so many to guys that are seriously brave. I mean, they come in with the arms are missing, the legs are missing. The stories are so unbelievable. And I said, no, it's a little stretch if I gave myself one of them. But it's one of those things. Someday I'm going to try. I'm going to test the law. Brandon, I'm going to say, let's give it a shot. Maybe I'll win in court after everyone sues me, after radical left lunatics sue me. Now watch. The fake news, you know I'm having fun. The fake news will say, Donald Trump wants to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor. But he was rebuffed by the audience, who stood up and booed the hell out of him. No, they say that kind of stuff. It's amazing. They say, if I'm sarcastic, even a little bit, they make it sound. You know, I said one thing the other day, a little while ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. I said, I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven in front of a massive group of people, 56,000 people. And they're all saying, oh, what does he mean? I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven. I'm doing a great job for a lot of people, but I don't think so. I'm just not worthy of heaven. I'm not going to make it. And I was having a good time going, you know, I was having fun. I hope to make it. But I doubt I will, to be honest with you. A lot of you will. I'm not so sure. But I was having fun. The New York Times has a front page story. Donald Trump is now questioning his mortality. They made it like I was totally. So you can't joke. It doesn't work. Kelly Loeffler here, small business meaning big business. She's in charge of, she's a Georgia peach. She's a great one. But she's in charge of all of the small business loans. It's called the Small Business Administration. When you add it up, it's the biggest bank in the world or something, right? But she's done a fantastic job. Thanks, Kelly. To help businesses like this one expand production in the United States, we provided 100% expensing and bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments, like that crane that you see back there. And it's all part of the Great Big Beautiful Bill. The Great Big Beautiful Bill is basically a tax cut bill. And you know, when you hear the fake Democrats talking about it, like, oh, the Great Big Beautiful Bill, you know, they try and mock it. We put 4 years worth of goodies into that bill, and everybody said it couldn't be done. You'd have to go into 17 different bills. It's all in that one, and that is cut after cut. It's basically tax cut and business expansion. It's one of the greatest bills ever passed. Remember that when you hear these phony guys like Hakeem, our low IQ, I guess, I mean, he's a pretty low IQ individual, but I hear him talking about no tax on tips doesn't matter, no tax on overtime matters, no tax on Social Security for our 1.8 million Georgia seniors matter. Who's a senior in this room? I refuse to raise my hand. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm a senior. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But think of it. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime for the people working there. How incredible. And for our seniors like me, no tax on Social Security. And watch what happens. They will now say, because I just gave them an idea, that Donald Trump passed the no tax on Social Security so that he could save $1,000. Oh, they're going to find me at conflict. They're going to say, Donald Trump has a conflict. I'll pay it, okay? You know what? I don't even talk about this much. I get no credit for it. So as president, I make $2 million over 4 years, $2.5 million. I waived it. I'm the only president that ever waived it. And they never, ever talk about it. But every week, some of the scum from the New York Times will call, did he waive it? And if my secretary would say, yes, he did. If I ever said, no, he didn't, it would be a headline scandal. But you know that in the history of our country, and this surprised me because we've had wealthy presidents before, in the history of our country, there's never been a president that waived his salary. I'm the only schmuck. I get no credit for it. You know what? I get no credit for it. Nobody ever writes about it. It's the first time. We have a couple of front row Joes here. They've been to like 400 rallies. Thank you very much. Have you ever heard me even talking about it? I never talk about it. They've heard me talking about everything, but I don't talk about it. But I just did today because somebody said, you know, nobody's ever written the story about you waiving your salary. You know, it's still a couple of $1 million. It's like, not peanuts. It's estimated that these policies will help raise income in this state by $7,000 in the coming year, every year. Boost household take-home pay by over $10,000 and protect more than 200,000 Georgia jobs. It's amazing. No one knows the importance of tax cuts and fair trade. More than businesses like this one. So now I'd like to ask the president of Coosa Steel, Andrew Seville, very nice name, to come up and say a few words. I'd like to say, because I'm telling you, I met this guy, and he said something that his wife is going to be extremely upset. I said, how are you doing? He said, President, if I didn't have all these cameras running, I would grab you and start kissing you violently. And I said, why is that? He said, because what you've done for us economically in this state, in this town, with the tariffs in particular. So I want to just introduce Andrew. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Coosa Steel. My name's Andrew Seville, as he said. I joined here in 2001 with my dad after I graduated from the University of Alabama. I've got to say roll tide. I've got to. My dad bought this company in 1985. We began to diversify, add all American-made equipment. Everything you see here, American-made. We have all American-made steel. That's all we keep. In all of those warehouses, all of it American-made. So we saw the tire rack industry really dropping off around 2010, and it was tough on our racks department. It was tough on these guys you see down front, these people that are used to this heat. I'm sorry if some of y'all aren't, but this is nothing to them. But the tire rack industry was going to China. There were no tariffs. They were bringing them in, and they were decimating the tire rack business in America. Your first term, we saw some things come back, just a little bit here and there. The second term, about July, the quotes, the orders, I couldn't keep up. They were coming nonstop. In October of 2025, we landed our first huge tire rack deal that we had in 10 years. This is going to keep our racks department busy for 2 shifts a day, 6 days a week, and we're pumping them out as fast as we can go, and they're all going to Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, right in America. Mr. President, what you've done for these guys down front, what you've done for our entire economy, what you've done for all of America, couldn't be done without your favorite word, tariffs. You did it. You're making America great again. You're making all of these guys more in their wages, and we couldn't be more than happy to call you Mr. President.
I think they turned down the audio for a second. Maybe they'll turn it, now they're turning it back up.
Wow, good man. And you know, I say the car industry is coming back. The plants from Canada, they took a lot of our car business. That was a good job. You know, it's what he just said, you know, I had a speech to write, but I wanted to go from the heart. That's what you did, and much better. That's much better than reading a speech. But our car industry is coming back like nobody's ever seen. It's all coming. They stole it. 52% of our car industry over the last 30 years went to Germany, Japan, Mexico, Canada, all coming back. We're building plants all over the country. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. All because of, look, it's because of, I guess, November 5th, the election and all, but it's because because of the election, I did the tariffs. Nobody else would have done it because nobody else had the guts to do it. And a great economist came in yesterday and said, sir, you did something that nobody has ever done. Nobody. 22 Nobel Prize laureates on economics oppose you on your theories on manufacturing and other things, on the economy. And you were on one side and they were all on the other side. They said we'd be in a recession. And you were right. This is the boom like he's never seen before. And even crime is way down. Crime is at the lowest level in 125 years, before my father was born. But he said, what you've done is amazing. You had 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics, and you were the exact opposite of every one of them. And they admitted now, every one of them admitted, but I had Howard on my side, a great Secretary of Commerce, and I had Kelly on my side, and I have Fuller on my side. I know that. I got my Fuller. You better win that election. And I had the Lieutenant Governor of this state on my side, Burt Jones. Burt Jones, you know, all these guys are coming in now, loaded up with some money. Who the hell knows how much money he's got? But Burt Jones has been here and been with you and been with me right from the beginning. He's been with me for so long, right from literally the first day. And Brandon, you've been so incredible. Secretary of the Treasury, that's pretty good. You've come a long way. He's a very successful state senator with me all the way. These guys are with me all the way. I'm going to introduce them in a second. Another Georgian whose workers will benefit from our tax cuts is Kirk Cowan. Kirk owns the GMC Value Mart, a family business and a fixture of this community since 1971 with 100% expensing. A lot of people don't know what that means, but basically, you'd be able to deduct over a 40-year period. We're letting you deduct your expenditure over 1 year. That crane is deducted, probably knowing him. I think the crane is deducted before you even took shipment. But no, you're allowed to do it. 1 year expensing, it's a big, big thing. It's why we had so many, it's why we were so successful in the first term. And now we even expanded it and we made it 10 years. In other words, it's good for 10 years. With 100% expensing, bonus depreciation, and no tax on the overtime. And Kirk says that the tax cuts are helping him keep the store up and running, and it's doing better than it's ever done before. So, Kirk, could you come on up for a second, please? Kirk? Come on up, Kirk.
I'm just going to cut in for a second. So after President Trump speaks, we're going to have more. After President Trump is done talking, we're going to have more on the situation with former Prince Andrew being arrested. There's actually some new reporting coming out from the Wall Street Journal now about President Trump. Now the Journal is saying that Trump is considering a more limited strike. So when President Trump stops speaking, we'll have more on former Prince Andrew and more on the Iran situation, and we'll be taking more of your comments on the air.
Business isn't easy. Between fluctuating food costs, regulations, and pharmacy reimbursement rates that don't always reflect what we pay, it can feel like the deck is stacked against you. That's why policies that support small businesses really matter. Under President Trump's leadership, Section 179 limits have increased, and permanent 100% bonus depreciation incentives make a huge difference. They allow us to reinvest in equipment, which doesn't just help owners, it helps keep prices down, keep people employed, and keep serving our neighbors. For us, that means upgrading our pharmacy to stay competitive and continuing to support local schools and community events. It means GMC Value Mart can stay right where it belongs, right here in Rome, Georgia. I'm grateful to have a president who understands small businesses are the backbone of a town like ours. Thank you, Mr. President, for standing with local businesses. It truly keeps places like ours alive.
Thank you. Thank you, Kirk. Good job. Really good job. You think it's easy for these guys to get up and do that? It ain't easy. It's not easy, and that was really a couple of great jobs. Another key part of our tax bill is Trump accounts. That's a big thing. These are the tax-free investment accounts for every American child, starting with $1,000 for every newborn baby. Every newborn baby. I also want to thank Michael and Susan Dell. Dell, go out and buy a Dell computer, because they don't care about that. They care about this. They make a great product. They're not looking for any publicity. I give them publicity. They say, well, thank you very much, but it's okay. They put up $6.25 billion. He started making computers on his bed. All of a sudden, he's got Dell. But he's a phenomenal person. She's a phenomenal woman. And they fund the accounts, and we're going to have funded 25 million children. So when they get to be 18 or 21, like these young, beautiful kids up front, they'll end up with a potentially really good nest egg, depending on, where the economy goes a little bit. But they could be quite rich. And they start with $1,000. And a lot of people now are putting tremendous amounts, because you're allowed to come in and put your money into those accounts. And a lot of people doing it actually way, way over what we thought would be. It's been tremendous. I want to thank Michael and Susan. Joining us today is Bree Thomas, a local women's clothing boutique owner, along with her husband, Austin, their newborn son, AJ. Bree and Austin are very excited to launch AJ's Trump account with millions of dollars. Think of this, millions and millions of dollars being put into these various accounts. But on July 4th of this year, think of it, all you have to do is go to the TrumpAccounts.gov. Go to TrumpAccounts.gov. People are putting in money, and the people themselves are putting. Millions of Americans will benefit from these pro-job, pro-worker, pro-child policies. But Georgia's Senator Jon Ossoff and every Democrat in Congress voted against them. He voted. Jon Ossoff, I competed with him numerous times. He ran against a woman, I think her name was Karen Handel, and he was leading her, and they called for help. I came down and helped, and she won. That was his first experience with me. And then I never heard from her again. I think she said thank you, but she ran another race a couple of years later. She didn't win. She never asked me for help. That was a mistake. But she won. And then Ossoff somehow got involved in the Senate race. I said, no, he's easy to beat. He's a real stiff. Real stiff. You know what a stiff is? He's a real stiff. We don't want people like that representing Georgia. Who would think that Georgia has a stiff? Anyway, and with us today are some of the amazing warriors who, unlike Ossoff, have stood up for the people of Georgia, including Congressman Brian Jack, Mike Collins, and Barry Loudermilk. You guys out? Come up, fellas. Come up. I gotta get these guys up. These are great people. Come on up. Proud of everything. They're warriors. But Loudermilk is going to take it easy now. I can't believe it. She's leaving. I can't believe it. We want him to stay. Say hello, fellas. Come on, Barry.
Mr. President, as I was sitting out there and I was looking back here at the crane, you remember first term we were all on the Trump train. I think we ought to have a Trump crane right here, right? See, Trump cranes all over manufacturing plants in the United States. Look, the greatest honor that I've ever had serving the people of Georgia is to work with this fine gentleman right here. He called me back in Memorial Day weekend. I got a call from the White House and said, the President would like to come meet with you in the Oval Office on June the 1st. So I headed up to D.C. and I got over to the office early, and when I walked in, we got a picture made, and we were talking about something pretty important, about the investigation of January 6th. But after we talked about that, the conversation changed, and he started telling me about this golden era of America. And when I got back to the office, the staff asked, how did the meeting go? And I couldn't stop talking about the golden era of America. I said, we're going to return to that time in America that we all heard about, but our children have never experienced. And we are seeing that come to fruition right now because of your leadership. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, it is good to be back in Rome, Georgia. Do we have anybody here from Georgia's 3rd Congressional District? So that's my district, Mr. President, and the last time you and I shared a stage was in Rome, Georgia, 2 years ago when you endorsed me for Congress. It is special to welcome you back here. We're celebrating today passage of the Working Families Tax Cut, and as the President brought folks on stage, it is abundantly clear those tax cuts are working here in Georgia, they're working across the country, and they're going to help us win in 2026. I have the privilege of representing a district whose father represented behind me. Mike Collins' father, Matt Collins, represented my district for 12 years, and he is running to replace John Ossoff. So with that, I introduce Mike Collins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Boy, that tie looks sharp on you. You look good. Thank you. What's up, Rome, Georgia? I want y'all to know something. It is a true honor and privilege to serve you in Congress and represent Georgia's 10th district. But I want to say one more thing. It is probably the greatest time in the history of this country to be a member of Congress because we've got true leadership and the guidance of President Donald J. Trump. And I want you to know a couple of things. Now, we need to grow our majority in the House so that we can continue with an America First agenda. But folks, we got to make sure that we put the right Republicans in to help us to get this job done. And Clay Fuller, you're going to help us do that. I'm going to leave you with one last thing. Go vote. You have got to get out and vote. You get out and vote. You help us grow this majority. You help us out in November. I'm going to kick Ossoff out of the state's U.S. Senate. We're going to restore Georgia values up in that Senate. And y'all, we're going to continue to take our country back. Thank you.
I'll tell you, Loudermilk, I said, you were the one that they caught giving a tour of Congress to a couple of kids and a mother and a father, and they said that they were communists. They were actually constituents from Georgia. And it angered him so much that he became a wild man, and he was very effective. And I always say, I said, they picked on the wrong guy. Here's the guy shows up with a couple of really nice country, beautiful people with their 2 kids. He's showing them the Capitol. And they said, he's showing them classified information. He's showing them. The people didn't even know nobody knew what they were talking about. These people are sick. But I want to tell you, Loudermilk, that was very cool. You didn't take it easily. A lot of Republicans are nice. The Republicans are too nice. And they just sort of would listen and they won't comment. Barry decided to comment, to put it mildly. You made them go through hell. I want to just tell you, you've had a hell of a career. And I hear you're not running, and we're going to have somebody very good. You know that? But you are fantastic and did a great job. Thank you very much, Barry. Thank you. Great. Very proud of you. I also want to thank Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who's got more good ideas. He's a very, very successful guy. Thank you, Howard. Howard Lutnick. We have some big things happening. And I introduced you already to SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler, who's an unbelievable woman doing an unbelievable job. Never lets you down. Treasurer of the United States of America, Brandon Beach. He is a winner and a friend. And he's another one. I didn't know him, but I kept hearing these wonderful things about a guy named Brandon Beach, and he was fighting for us. By the way, did you see they raided the Fulton County place, storage house? And now the Democrats have hired a massive team of lawyers. They have the ballots. That should be no problem, right? They have the ballots. FBI came in and raided. They found plenty of stuff. and now they have the ballots. And the Democrats are fighting like hell, and I think it goes before a judge tomorrow, to not let anybody see the ballots. Why don't they want them to see the ballots after all these years? You know why they don't want? Because they cheated, that's why. They sent top lawyers down from New York to fight it. And I think it goes before a judge tomorrow sometime. They don't want them to see the ballot. They've taken the ballots. They have them now after years. They got an order from the court, signed order from a very respected judge, and now they're trying to stop anybody from looking. You know why? Because they cheated like dogs. Agriculture Commissioner from Georgia, Tyler Harper. Tyler, thank you. Nice hat. Nice hat. State Senator-elect Stephen McNeil, a great guy. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Great guy. State Representative Katie Dempsey. Thank you. Katie, great job, Katie. Thank you. Georgia legend, Ambassador, well, let me tell you, he may be, because you know, Burt Jones was a really good football player. And we have Gunnar Stockton here today, and he's really good. He's really good. But even Gunnar would admit that it's going to be tough to beat the legend of Herschel Walker. Do you agree, Gunnar? Come on. Because, you know, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones was a great football player too, but he said, I heard you were great, Burt, but you were not Herschel. Hey, Herschel, come on up with Gunnar. Bring Gunnar up here. Come on. Gunnar's been a fan. I heard about this great quarterback for Georgia, young guy, handsome guy. We don't like handsome guys. I don't like being around them. I don't want anything to do with handsome people. But Gunnar is a big star and a really talented quarterback. But I heard, much more importantly, he's a Trump fan.
Okay, so I have a question for the viewers. I didn't know how long this speech would be, but President Trump, he's had a number of guests come up. So that has lengthened things a bunch. I don't know. I didn't know if we should just maybe transition back. If people want to see the rest of the speech, I can leave it on. But I can come back and start, and we can go back and talk more about Iran and former Prince Andrew. So let's see what our viewers say. I'm gonna see what the chat says. The chat will vote. Let's see. I think more people in the chat say they want us to go to more of the updates. So we're gonna do that. I'm looking at the chat. And way more people in the chat are saying go back. So I think we're going to do that. And get back to some updates. So again, let's do that. So if you can go to White House social media and see the rest of it. But I think probably I'm making the call. That seems to be, the chat has spoken. The chat has definitely spoken. A strong majority in the chat for moving on. Anyway, so we heard Trump speak, or at least most of his speech. If anything huge happens, we can always go replay it in the last part of his speech. So what I want to do is we're going to talk more about the arrest of Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew. But, and I'll keep an eye on what Trump is saying too. But while Trump was speaking, a new report, I think it was while Trump was speaking, there's a new report from the Wall Street Journal. PW360, actually, one of our viewers reached out to me and mentioned it, and I checked it out. Let's talk about that. I'm going to update the headline, which I'm going to have it says, reports, U.S. could attack Iran in coming days. Oops, reports. By the way, a couple quick thank yous. Thanks to our member Owl Hippie C. Serwin, thank you for the memberships. Queen of the South, our member, thanks. I am Charlie, thanks. Lidwine Elizabeth, really appreciate it, Lidwine Elizabeth. Also, the Dude 3442, thank you. Also, Panic for being a member. Weiss Wurst from Europe, Weiss Wurst. And Deadwing and Yo, it's Hassan. And Julie Vogler, thank you. And also shout out to Dog Bees over there on Twitch. All right, so I want to mention this interesting new report that, by the way, President Trump is having another person come up. So again, he's having a lot of guests come up over in Georgia. So he just had another person come up. Anyways, let's see here. Hold on. I fixed that. I fixed the headline. Oh, I want to talk about the new report from the Wall Street Journal. So, and we're going to get back and talk more about the arrest of former Prince Andrew as well. But we were talking on our stream last night, and we were talking earlier on this stream about how a number of outlets in the last couple days, have been reporting that the attack that in the coming days that the U.S. could attack Iran, and it's looking like it could be an extended attack that goes on for maybe even weeks. So as I was showing you earlier, the Washington Post this afternoon, for example, reported that, we were looking at this earlier, they said the Trump administration appears ready to launch an extended military assault on Iran, current, former, and U.S. officials said. Again, they said an attack is possible within days. But again, they talked about the idea of an extended military assault. Okay? So there's other outlets that have reported that as well. Axios had an article a couple days ago where the Axios article said, which I think was from 2 days ago, said that a U.S. military operation in Iran would likely be a massive, weeks-long campaign that would look more like a full-fledged war than the pinpoint operation in Venezuela. And Reuters actually had an article which we were talking about last night, and they said, that was a few days ago, hold on. And in that article, it said, I'm pulling it up right now. Where is it here? Yes, this was a few days ago. Reuters reported that the U.S. was preparing for potentially weeks-long Iran operations. Okay, so again, a number of outlets recently saying, hey, this could be weeks, or this looks like it's going to be weeks, an extended operation. But there's a new report now that just came out today from the Wall Street Journal. This report is from about an hour ago in the Wall Street Journal. Get this. This is new. The Wall Street Journal reports that President Trump is weighing an initial limited military strike on Iran to force it to meet his demands for a nuclear deal. A first step that would be designed to pressure Tehran into an agreement but fall short of a full-scale attack. So again, that's about an hour ago. They say the first limited strike option, which hasn't been previously reported, signals Trump might be open to using military force to pave a way for a deal, not just to punish Iran for not making a deal. So again, this is a new report. The Wall Street Journal says this has not been reported previously. They came out with this about an hour ago. And they are reporting that Trump is weighing an initial limited strike to force Iran into a nuclear deal. Wow. So what's going on? I got to take some comments from you guys. Ben Ogden says, very exciting. This name stinks says, just a minor declaration of war. Barry says, testing the water literally. JTSOG says, let's make it sound more defensive, but the action plan will be exactly the same. Classic. Douthis says, so this isn't about helping the people of Iran at all. About a month ago, President Trump was talking about attacking Iran as a response to Iran killing protesters in the Iranian protests. We're not really hearing that language from the White House these days. We're hearing a lot of talk about making Iran make a deal. UMP says Trump badly needs the distraction, so will attack Iran and heavily. Phil Johnson says, why do we always give them a heads up we are going to do something? Our viewer Declanzogen, and then a bunch of the name, says, I guess he will limit it. Zane Isaiah says, everyone overhypes Iran, they were a paper tiger. So what do you guys think about this new report that President Trump is weighing an initial strike, a limited strike, to force Iran into a deal, into a nuclear deal? I don't know. I'm going to have to, maybe we'll do a poll question here. I don't know what to say. All right, hang on a moment here. I don't know if the poll would have a lot of options, though. We'll do a quick poll with just, I think, 2 options. It'll be if U.S. attacks Iran, will it be short and limited, short and very strong, longer duration? I know that, look, this is not, we could really divide the options up a lot greater, but just in the interest of getting a poll question out there without a million answers, I'm going to ask you right now this question. I'm giving you 3 options, because we have this new report about Trump considering a limited attack to start with to get Iran to agree to a nuclear deal. Okay, here's what you guys said. I'm giving you 3 options. I know that's an imperfect poll, but that's what we're doing right now. Where is my article here? Okay, so I asked you guys, again, because the Wall Street Journal just came out about an hour ago and said that Trump is considering a limited initial strike that would be designed to make Iran agree to a nuclear deal. So, here is what people said. Sorry, Facebook, no polling yet for you, because as far as I'm aware, it's still not working over there. I have to check again soon, but I wish they would fix their polls over there. So on YouTube, we have I said, if U.S. attacks Iran, will it be short and limited 28%, short and very strong 40%, longer duration 32%? Pretty divided up over there on Facebook. How about Twitch? What are people saying over there? Hold on, I'm going to check that. Okay, on Twitch, here is what people are saying in the poll. The Twitch poll, 21% short and limited, 50% short and very strong, 29% longer duration. I will say this. I've been showing you a bunch of reports in recent days that claim that there could be Trump might launch an extended, weeks-long attack on Iran. It doesn't seem like our chatters are that that convinced that's going to happen. We have 31% saying longer duration on YouTube and on Twitch, and 34% saying longer duration on YouTube. The winner in both polls right now is short and very strong. Pix Pusha, our viewer, says limited strike sounds like we're backing down. Midnight Hammer the sequel, says our viewer Pix Pusha. Every time we play these games, we give these countries more intel about us. What a waste of time. Duchess Terra Reyes Arnor says, I feel like they're planning to push Iran into a corner. Matt says, what about the won't happen option? Well, it says if the U.S. attacks Iran. So this question assumed that there is an attack. Doc Watson says, hopefully Iran does an unlimited strike on Israel to save the world from real evil. That's what Doc Watson said. Our viewer Needs a Kidney says, Venezuela was not ready. Iran won't be afraid to fight back dirty. What's the big deal? He says, my concern is what happens following whatever option is chosen. Some of our viewers claimed that there was some sort of fighter jet crash in Iran, of an Iranian jet. I saw an unconfirmed report about that online. I mean, I'm not sure if that happened. I'll also point out, I mean, American fighter jets crash. I believe probably it happens in every country. So if there were a fighter jet crash, like, say, during training in Iran, I don't know that it's related to what the U.S. military buildup or not. I just don't know. I don't really have information about that. So if I see more, I'll let you know. Thanks for voting in our poll, by the way. Hold on. So let me just mention a little more, though. Again, the Wall Street Journal, just about an hour and a half ago, came out with a new report where they say Trump is weighing an initial limited strike on Iran to force it to meet his demands for a nuclear deal. Now, what they say in the article, they also say that it's unclear how seriously Trump is considering the limited option. They also say discussions as of late have focused more on larger scale campaigns. Also, the Wall Street Journal, like just about every article I've read in the last week, says officials say Trump has not decided to attack yet. We don't know what's going to happen. Remember, President Trump earlier today, as Reuters reported, said, Trump warned Iran on Thursday it must reach a deal over its nuclear program or bad things will happen, and appeared to set a 10-day deadline before the U.S. might take action. I think there's a video of him saying this. He said, Trump spoke of, Trump says you'll be finding out over the next probably 10 days. I have the clip here. Hold on a second. Here is the clip from Reuters of Trump's, I believe this is Trump saying this today. Let me pull this up for you. Here, look. At his Board of Peace event, here's a clip of Trump speaking earlier today from Reuters. For some reason, oh, you can't hear it. Let's try this again with you being able to hear it.
We've achieved more in 1 year than most administrations achieve in 8 years, and we're just...
Hold on. You know what happened? You're hearing him. He's still speaking in Georgia. And you're hearing the Georgia speech. I want to play you this clip of him earlier today. Let's try this again. Here we go. This is Trump speaking earlier today at his Board of Peace event.
Good talks are being had. It's proven to be over the years not easy to make a meaningful deal with Iran. We have to make a meaningful deal. Otherwise, bad things happen. And we do have some work to do with Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You can't have peace in the Middle East if they have a nuclear weapon. And they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they've been told that very strongly. And now is the time for Iran to join us on a path that will complete what we're doing. And if they join us, that'll be great. If they don't join us, that'll be great too. But it'll be a very different path. They cannot continue to threaten the stability of the entire region, and they must make a deal. Or if that doesn't happen, I maybe can understand. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But bad things will happen if it doesn't. Good talks are being had. It's proven to be over the years not easy to...
That clip didn't have him saying the 10 days, but he did say he did say when he spoke today that you'll be finding out over the next probably 10 days. Well, as I have said, we were here like a month ago. I believe for like a couple weeks a month ago. Every day was like, this is going to be the day when the attack happens. So now we're here like a month later. I'm getting a sense of deja vu. G Slayer says if Israel gets involved, all bets are off. I want to take a few more comments from you guys. We got to talk some more about former Prince Andrew too. Thanks to Deadwing. Deadwing thinks prolonged Iran operations lack U.S. public support. Thanks also Wyatt. As we mentioned earlier, Wyatt, about the second carrier group, you can see here the Washington Post today said that the arsenal under assembly for weeks is awaiting the arrival of the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford and its accompanying warships, officials said. These vessels were approaching the Strait of Gibraltar on Thursday, making an attack possible within days. Regarding the possibility of an extended conflict, which some outlets have talked about, something that could go on for, say, weeks. So you can see the Washington Post said today, a review of flight tracking data in recent days has shown a fleet of tanker planes also relocating to Europe and the Middle East, and many fighter jets repositioned at a base in Jordan. Other U.S. military aircraft appear to have relocated or transited through another airbase in Bulgaria. The military buildup signals the Trump administration is prepared for something much more extended than a one-day cycle of strikes, said former senior Pentagon official Dana Stroul, who's with the Washington Institute. An extended conflict, says the Washington Post, would mark a sea change, a big change from Trump's recent military forays, including the January U.S. Special Operations raid to capture Venezuela's President Maduro. There was a weeks-long bombing campaign last spring against Houthi rebels in Yemen and the surgical strikes last year against Iran's nuclear facilities. In each of those cases, Trump authorized significant military action that was significant in scope but limited in duration, declared victory afterward, and pivoted to other issues. What's going to happen now? Phoenix 2B, our viewer, thinks Trump gets bored with anything that lasts more than 2 days. Seriously short attention span. Zythron thinks it's going to happen Saturday. L80E says, I thought we destroyed their nuclear program. It was totally destroyed, right? Peters says, Iran made a deal with America already. Trump tore it up. Why should they believe any deal they make now won't also get torn up? Marianne Tyler says, if there's an attack on Iran, will that evolve into World War III? Hey, by the way, thanks to our moderators who are here. We have moderating right now Roberts Mayqueen. Thank you, Roberts Mayqueen, for moderating. I really appreciate that. Also over there on Twitch, hold on. Now I can't even find it. Trump did finish speaking, by the way. It was a long speech he gave today. Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai 3 on Twitch are moderating over there. Thank you. Also on Facebook, our moderators there, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson. Thank you so much for moderating there. Kay Lowry Body moderating over there. Thank you. And thanks Robert Rial II for subscribing on Facebook. And Louisa Knight and Christy Claft. Just to name a few, Jennifer Ellers. Thanks to our subscribers over on Facebook. And also Linda Belklary and Misha moderating on X. Also, thanks to Kristen McConnell Gates for the Facebook stars and Joshua Randall Wilson for the Facebook stars. We're going to get back to some more on another update on the arrest of former Prince Andrew. I just want to see. So again, there's all kinds of reporting about. It seems like every day there's new things about when this attack might happen, how big might it be, how long might it go. The Washington Post had a diagram today. Military base hosting aircraft. Military bases. Everything in the green, all those green dots are military bases hosting U.S. aircraft. You can see Iran on the right. Also, you can see where the second the carrier group, the USS Gerald R. Ford, and 5 destroyers are near the port, near the Strait of Gibraltar here, approaching the region. That's the second carrier. Hang on a moment. I just want to see if there's any more reporting here. New reporting. Ooh. Oh, look at the U.S. military assets in the Middle East. Maybe we'll look at that real quick. Just a little summary about some of the some of the large number of military resources the U.S. has been moving to the Middle East. The Pentagon is sending the largest force of American warships and aircraft to the Middle East in decades. The largest force in decades. Is that force sent anywhere, or largest force sent to the Middle East in decades? Including 2 carrier strike groups. Trump will likely have a host of military options, which could include surgical attacks on Iran's air defenses or strikes focused on Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, experts say. They say they warn Iran could retaliate in ways it hadn't following attacks last year by the U.S. or Israel, potentially risking American lives and sparking a regional war. Ali Vaez, an Iran expert, said, "It will be very hard for the Trump administration to do a one-and-done kind of attack in Iran this time around, because the Iranians would respond in a way that would make all-out conflict inevitable." That's what that Iran expert thinks. Just skipping down here for a second, talking about some of the resources there. The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and 3 guided missile destroyers have been in the Arabian Sea since the end of January. That carrier strike group, which brought roughly 5,700 additional service members to the region, bolstered the smaller force of a few destroyers and 3 littoral combat ships that I believe can land. That were already in the region. 2 weeks later, Trump ordered the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, along with 3 destroyers and more than 5,000 more service members to head to the region. This will bring the Navy's presence in the Middle East to 14 ships, and it will dwarf the 11-ship fleet that was until the Ford's departure stationed in the Caribbean Sea. Also, numerous additional aircraft, fighter jets, and support aircraft have touched down in the Middle East. Dozens of fighter jets, including F-35s, F-22s, F-15s, and F-16s, left bases in the U.S. and Europe and were spotted heading to the Middle East by the Military Air Tracking Alliance, a team of about 30 open-source analysts. The team also says it has tracked more than 85 fuel tankers and 170 cargo planes heading into the region in mid-February. Stephen Watkins, a researcher based in Canada and member of the MATA, said he has also tracked support aircraft like 6 of the military's early warning E-3 aircraft head to a base in Saudi Arabia. Those aircraft are key for coordinating operations with a large number of aircraft. The massive wave was preceded weeks prior by the arrival of Air Force F-15E Strike Eagles. Also, analysts of flight tracking data have noticed dozens of U.S. military cargo planes heading to the region. The U.S. military buildup is technically the region's largest since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. although the resources moved for the war dwarfed the current assets, said expert Michael O'Hanlon. O'Hanlon said the U.S. could simply use long-range B-2 bombers, as it had in June, if they wanted to, only to strike what is left of Iran's nuclear program. The forces in place now are clearly designed for attacking targets in Iran and defending against retaliation. Many likely expect Iran to just keep firing drones and cruise missiles back at Israel and American bases in regard to almost anything we do, O'Hanlon said. But he said Iran could go bigger and broader with a response, especially if its leadership feels targeted. Vaez, the Iran expert at International Crisis Group, said Iran is unlikely to limit its response as it did after the U.S. struck its nuclear facilities in June. Vaez says Iran has tried in the past to respond in a proportionate way, and every time it has invited more instead of deterring further attacks. They have Iranian expert Vaez thinks Iran has now come to the conclusion that the only way that they can stop this cycle is to draw blood and to inflict significant harm on the U.S. and Israel, even if that comes at a very high price to themselves. I have no idea if this is true. Benram Ben Taliblu, an analyst at the Washington-based Foundation for Defense of Democracies, said Iran is still believed to have ballistic missiles that can strike its enemies in the region. He said Iran could actually be successful in regionalizing the war and broadening its response, thereby drawing blood. The Islamic Republic may think that would be a deterrent to Trump, whereas in reality it might be an inducement to move the president from a more limited operation to a larger one. So a bunch of disagreement about how Iran might respond to a U.S. attack. I don't know what's going to happen. Our viewer Dilge Warren says, I've got a feeling the missile alerts will go completely red again, unfortunately. Hopefully they still keep it to military targets like last time in Israel, you're saying, Dilge Warren? I believe some civilian targets were hit, if I remember right, last year. Our viewer JT says it would not be a one-and-done attack. It would probably last several weeks or longer. That article we just read was from AP, by the way. Treasure Please says, won't they close the Strait of Hormuz and cause global oil prices to skyrocket? Mayflower thinks it's a distraction from the Epstein files. There could be no attack. Also, I have no idea what's going to happen. I think we should talk some more about Prince Andrew a bit, former Prince Andrew. Bender says, does Iran have sea drones? That I don't know. Also, I don't know how threatening they could be to American ships. One of our viewers mentioned this report as well. Hold on a second. Barry mentioned this report. I mean, Iran threatens stuff all the time, so who knows? Iran tells UN chief it will respond decisively if subjected to military action. Iran told the Secretary General of the UN today that Tehran will consider bases, facilities, and assets of the hostile force in the region as legitimate targets if it faces military aggression. Frederick Withrow thinks that Iran will attack American allies in the region if they are provoked. Oh, I remembered I wanted to mention something about the UK, about UK bases. There was a report about UK bases. The Times in the UK reported that the UK is blocking US use of 2 key bases for an attack on Iran. I'm going to post a link to an article about this from The War Zone, which is a very good military news site. And I'll just mention a little of what they had to say. The War Zone has an article today that says UK denying US use of key UK bases would impact bombers' role in Iran air campaign. And in this article from The War Zone, they say that the Times reports that the UK is blocking U.S. use of 2 key bases for an attack on Iran. They say the move reportedly stems from British legal concerns about an Iran attack, as well as a dispute between Trump and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer over the ultimate disposition of Diego Garcia. The War Zone says, we have yet to see any bombers moving to these 2 bases. The decision, which would be likely to happen in advance of a sustained aerial bombardment campaign. The decision by the UK, if the report is accurate, could be a primary reason why these movements haven't occurred. And let's see here. Anyways, you can read the whole article if you want. I'll post a link to it again. But hold on a second here. The War Zone says how this is impacting U.S. war planning isn't clear, but if it sticks, it will certainly alter those plans and reduce the magnitude of U.S. bombers' role in a conflict. So something else going on. I had meant to talk about that earlier. John Flick says, we don't need another war in the Middle East. Iran so far away. Paula Thompson said, hope other countries will do the same as the UK reportedly is. LD says, I feel sorry for all the Iranians that have no say in their leaders' choices. They are the ones who suffer. Tipster Dave also wrote to me about what Iran said to the UN Secretary General, saying that if attacked, all bases, facilities, and assets of the hostile force in the region would constitute legitimate targets, and Iran would respond decisively. Anyways, again, Iran threatens things a lot all the time. I don't know how big a response Iran would make. All right. I said we were going to get back to, we have to talk a bit more about the former Prince Andrew story. All right, so let's do that. We will certainly keep an eye on the Iran story and let you know about big developments. I'm sorry to keep saying I don't know, but I genuinely have no idea. Will there be an attack? If so, when will it be? Will it be small? Will it be big? Will it be short? Will it be long? How will Iran respond? Beats me. Let's see here. Our viewer Mini Seaback says Iran makes empty threats. The Knight's Palace says Iran can't do jack, all talk, no action. Simp Nasty says, gotta use your crystal ball. Di Tomasu says, hopefully the Revolutionary Guards will join the revolution. Mewks says, sure, Iran, sure. April Martin says, what if Iran decides to not wait and decides to strike us first? By the way, shout out to our Twitch subscribers. Really appreciate it. People like Guy from KC, Sharkingly, Wall Street, Shaggy, just to name a few of our Twitch subscribers. Meat Missile. And our other Twitch subscribers. Also, I want to shout out some of our YouTube members like Redtail Nutty, Ben Van, Waltham Mass, Knights Palace, River West, Express Investing, Patricia Grace, JK Cinar, All That's Random, Snarf, Maru, and CAC813, Barry, Nathan Kirk, Michael Avery, Hackberts, VV's YouTube, and Duchess Terra Ray's Armor, and Pooty Puffy, and all of our other YouTube members. Thank you. All right, let's get back and talk a little bit more about, I told you we would come back to it. I told you we'd give you some more updates. Let's talk a bit more about former Prince Andrew being arrested. He was arrested early today, in the UK by British police for suspicion of misconduct in public office. He was released late today, released under investigation. And the police said, Thames Valley Police, that they have opened an investigation into the offense of misconduct in public office. As part of the investigation, they said they arrested at approximately 8 a.m. a man in his 60s from Norfolk who is former Prince Andrew, but they don't say the name in this announcement, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. They said they were carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. We will not be naming the arrested man as per national guidance. In UK law, an arrest requires police to have reasonable grounds to suspect an offense has taken place and reasonable grounds for believing it is necessary to arrest the person in question. We don't know what those reasonable grounds were. And they said later in the day, the arrested man has been released under investigation. They said their searches in Norfolk concluded, but the searches in Berkshire are still underway. And as I mentioned to you earlier, Reuters has a picture of former Prince Andrew as he was, I'm going to show you something else here too. After being released by police. Here is, is there a video of him or is it just a photo? Hold on a second. Oh, I think we have some video too. Hang on, let me show you the video. New video from Reuters about Prince Andrew being released. Is this it right here? Let's see. Yes. I guess we got a video of the car pulling away. Okay. So this was the article. This is from Reuters here. King Charles' brother Andrew released after arrest over misconduct relating to Epstein. According to Reuters, he is being investigated for possibly giving Epstein classified, confidential British documents. So here is the video that was posted by Reuters. Hold on. Of him leaving, I guess, after being released by police. He's in the back. There. You couldn't really see him well in the video, but you can see him in the photo. Matthew says, slump down, LOL. John Flick says, look surprised. Here again is a closer version of that photo. There's the photo right there. Yes, he has been released under investigation. Joseph says, happy birthday, Andrew. I believe this was his birthday this week. But it's interesting because so when the car was pulling out, it looked like it was dark inside the car, but it looked like they got flash photography to get a picture of him. Oh, was his birthday today? We read this earlier and I couldn't remember. Was it today? People are saying it was today. Yes, February 19th, you're right. He turned 66 today. It looks, is he slumped down to avoid photos? I don't know. JT says the slump of shame. Yeah, let me just check. Oh, by the way, the BBC said he could be removed from the line of succession. The BBC pointed out that he is 8th in the line of succession. He's been stripped of his royal titles, but he has kept his place in the line of succession. But according to the BBC, it would require parliamentary legislation, plus the support of all the Commonwealth countries of the British Commonwealth, would have to approve of him being removed from succession. Also, he's 8th in the line of succession, so it would have to. You could argue it's not that likely it would end up coming to him, the succession. But they did mention that, and I want to get you some more updates on this and take some more comments from you guys. Hold on. Oh, there's a new report from AP on this right now. They say former Prince Andrew arrested and held for hours on suspicion of misconduct over ties to Epstein. Oh, so, sorry, we talked about this earlier. Somebody wanted to know about when was the last time like a British royal was arrested. AP said it's the first time in nearly 4 centuries that a senior British royal was placed under arrest. And it underscored how deference to the monarchy has eroded in recent years. AP said this is an extraordinary move in a country where authorities once sought to shield the royal family from embarrassment. King Charles III, whose late mother lived by the motto, never complain, never explain, took the unusual step of issuing a statement on the arrest of his brother, which said, "Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right of me to comment further on this matter," said King Charles III. Matt says, longer than the history of the U.S. twice over. That's what Matt said. You're saying the number of years? Well, first time in nearly 4 centuries, not over 4 centuries, that a senior British royal was placed under arrest. He has neither been charged nor exonerated. And they're reporting, similar to Reuters, AP says, police had previously said they were assessing reports that former Prince Andrew sent trade information to Epstein, a wealthy investor and convicted sex offender, in 2010, when the former prince was Britain's special envoy for international trade. Correspondence between the two men was released by the U.S. Justice Department last month as part of its Epstein files release. And police, I guess today, searched former Prince Andrew's Sandringham home and his former residence at Royal Lodge in Windsor. Earlier in the day, pictures circulated online that appeared to show unmarked police cars at Wood Farm, former Prince Andrew's home at Sandringham, with plainclothes officers gathering outside. Former Prince Andrew, that's Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, has consistently denied any wrongdoing in his association with Epstein. The allegations being investigated today are separate from those made by Virginia Giuffre, who claimed she was trafficked to Britain to have sex with former Prince Andrew in 2001 when she was just 17. She died by suicide last year. A royal expert, Craig Prescott, said this is the most spectacular fall from grace for a member of the royal family in modern times, and it may not be over yet. The last royal arrest was in the 1640s. The last time a senior British royal was arrested was almost 400 years ago, during the reign of King Charles I, that saw a growing power struggle between the Crown and Parliament. After the king attempted to arrest lawmakers in the House of Commons in 1642, hostilities erupted into the English Civil War, which ended with victory for the parliamentary forces of Oliver Cromwell. Charles I was arrested, tried, and convicted of high treason and beheaded in 1649. They also point out in this article, concerns about former Prince Andrew's links to Epstein have dogged the royal family for more than a decade. The late Queen Elizabeth II forced her second son to give up his royal duties and end his charitable work in 2019 after he tried to explain away his friendship with Epstein during a catastrophic interview with the BBC. Since October, King Charles has stripped his younger brother of the right to be called prince, forced him to move out of the royal estate he occupied for more than 20 years, and issued a public statement supporting the women and girls abused by Epstein. Last week, the palace said it was ready to cooperate with police investigating former Prince Andrew. King Charles was forced to act, says AP, after former Prince Andrew's correspondence with Epstein torpedoed the former prince's claims that he had severed ties with Epstein after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor for prostitution. Instead, emails between the two men show Epstein offering to arrange a date between former Prince Andrew and a young Russian woman in 2010. And former Prince Andrew inviting Epstein to dinner at Buckingham Palace. Additional correspondence appears to show former Prince Andrew sending Epstein reports from a 2-week tour of Southeast Asia that he undertook in 2010 as Britain's trade envoy. So, wow. We do not know if he will be charged. We'll have to see, will he get charged with a crime in this investigation? Manchester is Red Forever thinks, says, like I said earlier, the royal family is out of date and a drain on UK finances. Justified Ancient says, when is America's justice system going to start arresting and questioning said persons on Epstein list? Just a media parade and no substance so far. Pragmatic Centrist says we need a new season of The Crown. Interesting. Sevenfold says nobody is above the law. Blue Ocean Below says it had better not be over. Arrested and released is practically nothing. Let's see here. See if any other more updates here. I don't know how long this investigation will take into Andrew. The Washington Post says the Epstein files indicate that former Prince Andrew provided confidential government materials to Epstein at a time when former Prince Andrew was traveling globally and representing the UK as a trade envoy. Among the shared files that he sent to Epstein are briefing materials on Asian countries that former Prince Andrew visited. The Washington Post also says Robert Hazel, a constitutional expert at University College London, said in a phone interview that former Prince Andrew does not enjoy any special legal protections by virtue of his relation to the monarch. While the monarch himself largely has legal immunity under Britain's constitutional rules, other members of the royal family, titled or not, do not have the same privilege. Oops, sorry. A little bit of noise going on in the background. Hold on. Also, Reuters reports Epstein accuser's brother hopes former Prince Andrew's arrest signals House of Cards collapsing. The brother of one of Jeffrey Epstein's most prominent accusers, Virginia Giuffre's brother, welcomed the arrest of former Prince Andrew, saying he hoped it marked the start of the collapse of a house of cards around late convicted U.S. sex offender Epstein. In an interview with Reuters, Sky Roberts and his wife urged the U.S. Justice Department to take action against others suspected of playing a role in Epstein's crimes. This is where the house of cards starts falling, he said. Waltham Mass says arrest them all. Bloodbuzz says, we'll see, unlikely. Steve's Air Fryer says, does this signify no one is safe no matter of their level of status? Taste Vim says, who did Epstein pass along the info to? Time Lapse says President down to Congress are in on all of it, making them all co-conspirators at this point. Sharon Stiles says, now let's do the U.S. No, I haven't seen any big updates on Nancy Guthrie today. If there are, we will do another stream. By the way, we're not going to get on to this now because we've been talking about it a lot. But there's new reporting from CNN tonight on possible Iran attack by the U.S. They say Trump's options range from more targeted strikes to sustained operations that could potentially last for weeks. Also, they say the U.S. military could be as ready as soon as this weekend to strike Iran. But officials they have talked to do not expect the strikes to come that soon. SB says U.S. needs to clean up too. Hey, thanks Linda Jane, our new member. Thanks also Gary Fry 95, our member. All right, guys, I think we may be getting to that time. We may be getting there, I think. We've been talking about former Prince Andrew being arrested. We talked a bunch about what's going on with possible attack on Iran. We showed you a bunch of President Trump speaking in Georgia. So, and we'll have to see if Prince Andrew is charged, you know. If he is, maybe we'll do another stream on that. Alex Malarkey wrote in and said, when Trump goes on about tariffs, it's like he's trying to convince people and push a bad policy down my throat. Apparently, Alex is not a fan of tariffs. All right. I think... Hold on a second here. I think it might be our time. So I will keep an eye on the latest, and if there's huge news, we will come on the air again. I really appreciate people joining us for our live stream. So, and as I said, if there's big developments with the Nancy Guthrie thing, we can come on too. So I'll be keeping an eye on stuff. And but again, I really appreciate you guys being here. And if you want, subscribe, follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news here at Agenda Free TV without an agenda. And I would suggest turn on the notifications for the channel, because who knows when something big is going to happen. I'm going to jump on the air and do another stream. So you can get sent a notification whenever we go live for free before we go live. The mods will post the link in the chat to the notifications. And you can also find that link to sign up for the free notifications on YouTube and Facebook in the description of this video. So sign up for those. I would also, if you want, you can. I'll give you the option to follow me on X, because I post there when we're not on the air. I post breaking news updates there. So if I notice stuff happening when I'm not on the air, I'll post it over there at Lookner on X. You can follow me over there. But much appreciate you guys joining us for our stream. And let's see here. And thanks for letting me read. We read a bunch of comments on the air today. I appreciate people writing in the chat and writing to me on X and sharing their comments. Thanks for letting me read those on the air and for your questions and for sending me updates as well. Huge thanks to our moderators too. Our mods are awesome. They are the reason that we could have a chat. We can chat rooms. We could not have them without our moderators. So big thanks to them for being here. Beth Mythical, Ruth, Roberts, May Queen. Big thank you. For moderating over on YouTube and all of our other moderators over there. Our Twitch moderators, such as Bash and Girl, Big Ball of Yarn, LB Prairie Dawn, Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai 3, thank you. Also, speaking of Twitch, thanks to Toolman Tim for the gift sub. Thanks again to our Twitch moderators and all of our other Twitch moderators. And our Facebook moderators, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson, and our other Facebook moderators, and our moderators on X, Misha, Larry, Linda Belk, moderate for us on X. Thanks to all of our moderators for all of your help. And thanks to everybody who donated. That's super nice of you guys. Really appreciate that. That's what allows the channel to be on the air, is your support. So big thanks. And I think I got everybody. I hope I did. But thank you. Let's see here. Oh, also, another good way to figure out when we're going live. At Agenda Free TV on X, I always post on this account in advance before we go live, so you can get a heads up over there. At Agenda Free TV on X, I also post updates about the channel over there. So if you're on X, follow at Agenda Free TV. Also, we have a chat where you can chat for free with other viewers when we're not on the air. Our Discord chat, a bunch of viewers like doing the Agenda Free TV Discord chat. So check out the Discord chat if you'd like. It's the same link as the free notifications link. Same link. Check it out. Let's see here. And for those who are interested, I'm still away for a little while longer in Buenos Aires, great city, and still doing some live streams once in a while on my personal channel from here. Maybe one tomorrow night. We'll see if that works out. So if you have any interest in that, you can check out my personal channel, which is Lookner on YouTube and Looknerd on Twitch. Looknerd on Twitch with a D. Lookner on YouTube. That's what it looks like right there. So feel free to check that out if you want. And hey, speaking of YouTube, if you are watching on YouTube and you're watching this channel, I would suggest turning the YouTube notifications on for this channel. Another good way to find out when we're live. And to do that, to turn on the notifications for this channel, what you need to do on YouTube is you need to subscribe and then click the bell and choose all notifications. If you're already subscribed, make sure you have the bell checked and you've chosen all notifications. Let's see here. I want to thank our Facebook subscribers who support the channel, like Helen Anderson and Robert Rial II, Christy Claft, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Jennifer Ellers, Martha Crawford. Thanks again, Joshua Randall Wilson Turner, for the Facebook stars. Christy Claft, thanks for subscribing. All of our other Facebook subscribers, thanks so much for supporting the channel. Also, our Twitch subscribers. I did manage to thank the subscribers and the Twitch and Facebook subscribers and the YouTube members earlier today. I'm glad we got that done, but I want to thank them again. Over on Twitch, subscribers like Wall Street Shaggy, Jax Haku, CC, Gina Pina. There were some protests today in Argentina. I think Gina Pina mentioned that. I think it's a fairly regular thing over here. So I didn't go out there or anything. But there was like a national strike today, I believe, among some workers. But I think it's fairly regular. It's not like totally, not like something that's extremely rare. But I'm not an expert on Argentinian labor relations and politics. But that's the sense I got. Thanks, Ma Florida, for subscribing on Twitch. Annie Cush and let's see here, Toolman Tim, and all of our other subscribers over there on Twitch. Huge thanks. Bastion Girl as well, Sharkingly. Also our YouTube members, Eric Johnson, Chris the Toffee, Snarf Maru, Lego Mike, Joe Hart, and Alaskan Lost, Paula Faust, Waltham Mass, Luke Degling, Mike Makes Great Soup, Val Cargo, Sydney, The Golly, Deadwing, Red Girl, Owl Hippie, Nathan Kirk, J.K. Cinar, Platinum Dose, and all of our other YouTube members. Big thanks to you. And everybody else watching. Ripster, Jared, Angie C., Hurricane Elaine, all of our other viewers out there. And Shady Pop, thanks for watching on Twitch. Panolta, Frostpunk, Simp Nasty, Cesseron, thanks for watching. Dave Corcoran, Juliana Martin, thank you. Paula Thompson. Chuck Mosca thinks that the Justice Department is not going to do anything to investigate anything regarding the Epstein files. Thank you, Chuck, for watching. All right. Michelle, was it Essay? Did I get that right? It flew by. Thanks, Michelle, for watching. All right, it's time. It's time to wrap this up. Thanks, Quentin from Astoria, for being a member. History Honk, thanks for being a member. All right, I'll be keeping an eye on stuff tonight, guys. If there's huge news, we can come back on the air and do another stream. And that's going to be it for now. All right. Thank you for watching our live stream. Appreciate you being here. Oh, Paisley Manatee, thanks for watching. That's it for now. If you missed it, you can go back and rewind. We talked a bunch about former Prince Andrew being arrested. We talked about a possible Iran attack and possibly coming soon. And we showed some of President Trump's speech about the economy. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.